Scott, let's go ahead and continue the Medicare conversation here because I know, it being the summertime and annual election period is going to be here before we know it. And I think there are going to be people getting things in the mail about what the changes may be coming down the line for the upcoming year. I know you've already gotten your hand on some of them. What are the prescription drug changes that are coming in for 2025?
Boy, I got to tell you, this is a real hot topic right now. I've done a few events over the past month, and everybody's asking this question. And Nolan and Jeremy, these are issues that are talk about blowing up your portfolio, your investment portfolio. So here's what's proposed. There again, it's really hard to say what's actually going to be put in place depending on the administration that we get in there for 2025. But for prescriptions, it's a huge issue. So what they're proposing is a maximum expense to the individual of $2,000. Okay. Now, a lot of people may think, wow, that's great. There are some actual medications out there. Ozempic is a big hot item, right? You're looking at anywhere from $750 to, $1,100 for some of these big ticket, your Mounjaros, your Jardiance, and Trulicity. A lot of these medications are huge retail costs. Well, I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many of you guys right here think that the pharmaceutical companies are going to lose money?
They're definitely not. And actually, as you were open up and talking about this, I was kind of laughing because I was looking in the fact that the current President Biden, he signed this Inflation Reduction Act into law. And this is one of the biggest investments in American economy, energy, and climate that Congress has made in our nation's history. Mm-hmm. And, maybe we wouldn't have as much inflation if the government stopped spending all of this money.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this situation, looking at this Inflation Reduction Act, there could be some positives that come out as you talk about. We'll see what the pharmaceutical industry does. But the implementation of the $2,000 out-of-pocket cap, I know when we look at it, as you point out, some of those prescription drugs really cost a lot of money. I can remember as a young family when my wife and I were at home, we had taken our son to get some medication, and I'm on affordable health care, so we pay for a lot of our stuff out of our own pocket until we fulfill our deductible. And my son had this medication that he had to take, and it was a liquid medication. We put it in his mouth as he was a young kid, and then he proceeded to just spit it back out on the ground.
Right.
Oh, there's a fast way to burn $100. So this $2,000 out-of-pocket max, for those people that have a lot of these high costs in the prescription drugs, can be kind of a positive for them. Now, there's also there's something that's referred to, and I've heard them talk about it in the past, called the donut hole as well.
Yes.
Isn't there going to be some changes possibly with where the elimination is of that coverage gap?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Part of the what you're talking about with the $2,000, Nolan, is they're eliminating the donut hole and the catastrophic. So that goes away. So right now, the donut hole, the retail cost of the medications, once they reach $5,030, you exit the initial phase and you enter the donut hole or the gap. Now, it's not the donut holes like you get at Dunkin' Donuts or wherever, but it is truly a gap phase. And while you're in the gap, and this is through 2024, right? While you're in the gap, all medications are actually 25% to you, the consumer. Once you exit the gap, and that is the retail cost reaching $8,000. And keep in mind, this isn't the cost that you spend out of your pocket. This is the cost of the retail drugs. Then all prescriptions are covered in full. So what they're doing is they're looking at completely eliminating the donut hole or gap and the catastrophic phases and just instituting the $2,000. Okay. So yes, for some people, this may be a very, very good thing. Here's, it's buyer beware. Here's some things I want to point out. If you are currently on a Medicare supplemental plan or a standalone prescription drug plan, like I said, Do you think the pharmaceutical companies are going to lose money? No, nobody does. Well, how are we going to pay for that difference? Because these drugs, 2,000 is not very much. Here's what I fully anticipate happening from what I have heard and what I am reading. The premiums for your drug card, the premiums for your supplemental plan are going to go up. I don't have any information confirming that at this point, but this is what is being spread around through my industry, right? The other thing to be prepared for is the formulary drugs, right? So what I could see, this is just an opinion, I could see that some of these medications may be taken off of the formulary list. So yeah, while it may be a good thing for some people, if you can't even get your drug because your company doesn't offer that on the formulary, what good is the $2,000 cap? So one of the things, I will know more details about all of this. Our first looks usually start in August or September, and those are times where we can actually go to meetings. Troy and I will go to several company meetings. We're going to find out the details about all of this, and then we're going to relay it to all of you listeners out there and exactly how you're going to be impacted by this. But, there are definitely changes coming in 2025. They may sound really good, and I hope they are as good as they sound to the consumers, but I think it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy AEP this year just because of a lot of uncertainties.
Mm-hmm.
Scott and the team, we'll stay ahead of the curve on that, be informed of that and pass that information on to you as we get closer and closer to the annual election period and through the annual election period. But to go and get started, start planning for it, you can just reach out to the team at America's Medicare Associates, 419-794-3030. And like I mentioned earlier, you can go to the website, arhq.com, and also find out about upcoming Medicare events that they've got going on the events tab over at arhq.com.